Alrighty, welcome to day 2. Today is another journaling task, but once you've journaled this, then you'll be able to carry this through without journaling. So bit of responsibility, bit of journaling today and understanding, and then moving forwards, this is something that's really easy. So what are we talking about today? We're looking at affirmations. So what are positive affirmations? Well, fortunately, positive affirmations are almost as easy to define as they are to practice. Put simply, they are positive phrases or statements that challenge negative or unhelpful thoughts. Practicing positive affirmations can be extremely simple, and all you need to do is pick a phrase or a couple of words and repeat them as often as you'd like. You may choose to use positive affirmations to motivate yourself, to encourage positive changes in your life, or to boost your self-esteem. Now, if you join this challenge, it's probably because you find yourself getting caught up in negative self-talk. Positive affirmations can be great to combat this negative behavior. Now, you might be asking, okay, this sounds a bit woo-woo. Is this something that actually has any kind of scientific grounding to it? And the answer is yes. Positive affirmations require regular practice to make long-term, lasting, and real change to your habits and your behaviors. So you want to know the science behind it? I'll bring it to you. We're going to be looking at something called the psychological theory or the self-affirmation theory. And this was developed by Steele in 1988. So it's been around for a while. And these are empirical studies that are based on the idea that we can maintain a sense of self-integrity by telling ourselves or affirming what we believe in positive ways. Very briefly, this self-affirmation theory or self-integrity comes down to our own global self-efficacy, the way that we kind of view ourselves in the world. Our ability to respond and adapt to the world as things change and as we see different challenges in our lives without sending us or ourselves into a tailspin. So the self-affirmation theory has 3 ideas underpinning it, and they're worth having in mind if you're trying to really understand the power of affirmation practice. So number 1, when we do self-affirmations, this helps us to create a global narrative about ourselves. It allows us to be flexible, to have morals, and to adapt to different circumstances. We also don't get stuck in viewing ourselves in one fixed way. For example, mother, daughter, son. And we can then see ourselves and our self-identity as flexible, which is really important because life will always change, things will always change, and if we're really rigid, then there's going to create a lot of trauma and drama in how we move through the world. And with this flexibility, we're able to see ourselves adapting to a range of different ideas, different identities, and different roles. So why is this a good thing? Well, it means that we can view different aspects of ourselves as being positive, and we can adapt to different situations much better. Secondly, the self-affirmation theory helps us to understand that having these affirmations, having this self-identity is not about being perfect. And rather, we just need to be competent and adequate in the areas that are personally valuable to us in order to be moral, flexible, and good. And lastly, the element of the self-affirmation theory is that we are not creating these affirmations and we're not moving for our life because we want to receive praise, but rather we want to deserve the praise. And this has a really big effect on how we go through our lives and what motivates us to do different things in our lives. Okay, this is the last bit of science, I promise. But when people practice self-affirmations and affirmation practice, there have been studies where they look at the brain through an MRI. And through this MRI, they can see certain pathways of the brain actively working harder and growing. And specifically, the part of the brain that looks at positive identity and evaluation of life is really working, really active. And the results of this study show that when we choose to practice positive affirmations, we're better able to view otherwise threatening information or situations as more self-relevant and valuable. Therefore, when we fail at something or when we come across a challenge, we don't see this as, the world's crumbling, I'm no good, I have no worth. Instead, okay, I've learned something here, and you can take that information and grow from it, which is really important. So what are the health benefits of affirmations? This is a really big one for me. They help us to be less defensive and less feeling like the world's out to get us. So what are the health benefits of doing affirmation practice? Well, one of the big ones, and one of the ones that's the most important to me, is this ability to not be defensive and not see the world as it's being out to get you. So I can get into a really bad habit of kind of blaming everyone and everything for all of the bad things that are happening in my life and kind of hiding in this identity. But when you start to practice affirmations, you start to take more of responsibility, and you can start to see the world through a different lens that is less angry, less defensive, and less resistant. And a result of this, well, it makes us more resilient. We're more able to change, we're more able to adapt, and we're more able to really challenge ourselves, put ourselves in situations that are going to help us grow, adapt, learn, and become more positive, happy people. So if you're feeling a little bit lost, don't worry, because I'm going to have a bit of a journaling task for you. So you can either print out the PDF document or just look at the questions and journal in your own book or your own piece of paper. And it's going to take you through steps to create your own affirmations that are linked to specific parts of your life or specific things that you want to change. But if you're still feeling stuck, these are some really good affirmations that can be used by a broad range of people. For instance, I choose to be happy. My life is taking place right here, right now. I'm gifted with a surrounding of amazing friends and family. I opt to rise above negative feelings and ditch negative thoughts. I am resilient, strong, and brave. I can't be destroyed. Nobody but me decides how I feel. When I lie down to sleep, everything is as it is and everything is as it should be. And I rest with contentment. I'm in charge of my thoughts and I don't judge myself. I accept and love myself thoroughly and completely. Alrighty, so in the document that you are going to have attached to today's email, there's going to be, I think, about 8 different slides with different questions for you to journal about and for you to think about. The first one is going to be a pie chart. And in this pie chart, I want you to write how you feel in each section. So there's going to be a section on play, spirituality, friends, romance and adventure, exercise and health, and work. And what you're going to find out is that in these different areas of the pie chart, you might have loads of abundance. You might have tons of stuff to say about your friends. But then when it comes to something like spirituality, that might be really sparse. And by spirituality, I don't necessarily mean a belief in God, a specific God, okay? So I don't believe in God, but I have lots of different things in my life that help me become more spiritual. My connection to nature, my meditation, my breathing practice. That helps me to really connect to my inner spirit, my inner energy. So what I want you to do is maybe spend 5 minutes on each of the little pieces of the pie, and this will help you to identify which areas you might want to start setting some affirmation. On the second one, it's going to be a little box that says, how do you want to feel in your life? Or what words would you best describe about how you want to feel in your life? And just write some adjectives here. Write anything that comes to mind. And then on the other side of that, what I want you to write is just 3 goals that you might want to manifest. Maybe they're a short-term goal, so something in the next week or 2, or maybe they're a long-term goal. So by the end of 2021, I would like to blah, blah, blah. And I don't want you to limit yourself here. I want you to dream big, the things that come to mind first. Then following that, I want you to think about those 3 goals that you set. And I want you to write down any negative beliefs that you have about them, okay? So any blocks that come up right away, okay? So for instance, for me, one day I would like to be a yoga teacher trainer. So I'd like to start training people how to become yoga teachers. I've got a lot of blocks about this, okay? I don't need to go into detail about them, but I could write for ages. So the things that you think would make these goals not possible, and I just want you to write those things down. Could be money, could be knowledge, could be time. Now, once you've journaled about that, you're going to move on to the next page, and you don't need to spend heaps of time. You can spend as much time as you want, but you don't need to spend ages on these things. Just the first things that come to mind. And this is stuff that you can journal about over and over again. So the next page, I want you to write 3 limiting beliefs, okay? So these would have come about from the activity that you have done before. So limiting beliefs: I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I am really lazy and I procrastinate. I'm not smart enough or an expert in the field enough, okay? Any of these limiting beliefs. And then on the flip side of that, I want you to start to dig. Where did this belief come from? Okay, so I have a lot of money issues in terms of a scarcity mindset about money. And this has, you know, if I really dig deep and think where this comes from, it comes from when I was growing up. So I grew up with a family that didn't have a lot of money. My dad was a construction worker and he was laid off a lot. And there was this real kind of scarcity mindset. We had to kind of hoard our money. We had to protect it because there were people out to kind of get it all the time. And this really imprinted on me. And I have this belief that the money is going to disappear at any point. So I want you to look at that limiting belief and then start to dig. Where did that limiting belief kind of start from? Where did it get imprinted on you? And you might not be able to come up with it right away. Just start thinking back, okay? Was it a relationship that you had? Was it something in school? Or was it maybe something to do with your parents? Okay, on the next page, you're gonna take those limiting beliefs and I want you to really start to pick them apart. Is the limiting belief that you've written down actually true? So if you were to break it down, are you actually doing the things that this limiting belief is saying? Does it actually resonate with you? Is it something that you've kind of imprinted on yourself? Or is it something that you're actually not doing, but you just keep telling yourself that this is the reality? And then I want you to turn those 3 negative beliefs into a positive statement. Okay, so stay with me here. For instance, the negative statement is, I am shy and I don't have a big social network, okay? I think there'd be a lot of us right now after a year of kind of living indoors that might feel like their social networks have shrunk. I want you to think about that negative belief and I want you to turn it on its head. So instead of I am shy and I don't have a big social network, it could be I am growing with confidence and I am a good listener. So you're just flipping it on its head. And you're going to do that with all 3 of those negative beliefs that you've written down. And once you've done that, those are 3 affirmations that you can use. And what you're doing by saying those affirmations every day is that you're starting to turn away from that negative self-belief. You're starting to make it not true. And you're redefining it as something positive. So right away, you've got 3 affirmations that you can use. Following on from that, you're then going to do some more brainstorming, some more kind of dreaming, and you're just going to write down anything that you want to manifest, anything kind of emotionally, physically, you know, in your work or your career, anything at all. And you're just going to jot it down. And then on the last page is just a chance for you to write a few more positive affirmations, and you can start them with, I am the type of person who, or I will. You always want to have an affirmation that starts with a present tense and positive wording so that you are telling yourself that this is already happening and that you can show up as this person already. So by the end of this journaling exercise, by the end of your task today, you should have at least 3 affirmations that you can use. And I want you to read these affirmations to yourself every day, first thing in the morning. So again, you might have them beside your bed on a little post-it note. And just before you get out of bed, just before you get on with your day, you're going to read those 3 affirmations to yourself. If you want to read them more often, stick another post-it note up, maybe where you brush your teeth, maybe where you make your cup of tea, and just read these out loud to yourself. Say them out loud, hear yourself saying the words, and smile as well when you're saying it. It'll really help it in bed. Good luck, have fun. Let's see how our positive affirmations go.